I always consider myself a business person first and a technologist second. I am driven by money. I'm not going to lie about it. I know who I am.
I see so many similarities to the way I operate as well.
I think I have a very high tolerance for risk.
People like to speak to other humans at the end of the day.
I would love to say the riches are in the niches, but again, I don't have that jet yet.
I'm far more risk adverse. I'll go for it as an entrepreneur, as a business owner.
The world sucks, dude. Like there's no sugarcoating this.
Welcome to the podcast from Cold to Close. My name is Saeed and I'm the founder here at SRC Growth Partner, a growth company that works with professional services firms from around the world to help them increase their revenue and profitability by acquiring new clients. My guest today is Justin Esgar, the founder of Virtua Computers, an Apple-focused MSP that's grown from a one-man help desk operation in 2008 to a 12-employee company serving clients across multiple states. Justin's entrepreneurial journey goes far beyond traditional IT consulting. He's launched software companies that caught the attention of Wired magazine, started his own industry conference for Apple consultants, written books about turning ideas into reality, and even hosts the All Things MSP podcast. Justin, welcome to the podcast.
Dude, I couldn't have written that better myself. I need you to be my professional writer.
Appreciate it. I thought long and hard about it. No, it was very easy to do. Just having the discussion with you previously and knowing your background, it's quite an impressive background, so it didn't take long to just put that together. But
I would like that in writing so I can, whenever I submit a call for speakers, I'd be like, Saeed said this about me. You can just use it.
I'll send it. I'll clip myself up and send you the video as well.
Perfect.
So I always find that I've done a little bit of an intro for those of our viewers and listeners out there who don't know who you are, but I always find that it's better from the horse's mouth, learning a little bit more about who you are. So are you able to share a little bit more about your background and your journey to where you are today as the CEO of Virtua Computers?
I mean, because you asked. Yeah. So everything you said was perfect. Love it. 10 out of 10, no notes. Started in 2008 as just by myself and grown it like you said. And, it's one of those things where what makes me different in the MSP field just in general is that I always consider myself a business person first and a technologist second. A lot of MSPs are like, well, I was good with computers, I'll do a job that involves computers. Or if I worked at a company and I'm no longer at a company, I'll start a company that is doing the thing that I like to do. And so I look at it from the other perspective, right? I play both the 40,000 foot view down to the very, very microscopic, and I don't float in the middle. That's the difference, right? A lot of people like, I want my team to float in the middle, but I want to look at the big picture and then I want to nitpick on the little things to make the big picture work. And so my experiences of being an Apple consultant, going to industry events, finding there wasn't one that tickled my fancy, which is why I started my own, or solving problems for myself and then realizing I can solve problems for others using those same mechanics, that's what really drives me. At the end of the day, I've always said that like my ultimate goal is like, I love to watch other companies grow. If they could take me along for the ride, that's wonderful. And, I've done that in 17 years I've been in business, both as an Apple consultant and then as a software and then doing the conference and doing some business coaching and now as the host of the show. And like, it's really funny to me when we were doing Halo onboardings for a while, Halo PSA, it's this professional services software. And people would come to us and say like, hey, can you help us with our Halo? And I'd be like, yeah. And they were like, wait a second, aren't you the host of the All Things MSP podcast? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, I just met a celebrity. I'm like, not really. But, to me, that's funny. And that means they're listening and that means their business is moving forward. And so that's always been kind of my thing, right? Because I really like the concepts of business. I always have. I've always been an entrepreneur, even growing up. I mean, in high school, we had the future. I tell this story a lot. If you've heard my story, I've heard this one 1,000 times, which is we had the Future Business Leaders of America. It was like a after school program at our high school. And like to raise money, we would have to sell candy, right? I was like the number one candy seller like 3 years running. Like I would walk into chemistry class and be like, yo, you want those sour apple nerds? I got them right here. Like a creepy trench coat guy. Like I am driven by money. I'm not going to lie about it. I know who I am. Everybody has a BHAG, right? Your big, hairy, audacious goal. Mine is to have a private jet with my logo on the bottom of it.
It's good to have a clear vision, right?
Well, okay, so here's this is such a stupid thing.
Yeah.
On my vision board for the longest time, I wrote like Gulfstream G280. And then one day something hit me. I was like, I can't get the 280. I have to get at least the 380 because I can't go to hang out with other people who own private jets and someone go, oh, you got the little one? Like I can't.
You've got to go slightly above.
You gotta go like just slightly higher. Like it would hurt my ego so badly.
Yeah, you got the cheap jet.
Yeah, you got the, oh god, I can't believe you got the 280. You know, the 380 has like one extra seat or some whatever bullshit it is. But yeah, that's kind of it, right? Like I like doing business. I like learning to a degree. I've always pushed myself. I always want more. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing is for your listeners to decide. But I'm always willing to risk it. I think I have a very high tolerance for risk, despite the fact that if it goes bad, I will cry for 2 weeks on that couch behind me. That's why it's there. But yeah, like I am traditionally more risky than a lot of MSPs, a lot of my friends in the industry. Even my wife and I have these conversations because she's a genius. And I'm like, you can start your own business and do stuff. She doesn't have that risk tolerance in her, right? Like she knows she could do it, but like she's too worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Sure, let's do that thing, whatever, and see what happens. You know,
Honestly.
and some have worked, some have not, and then here I am.
I absolutely love what you're saying there, and I see so many similarities to the way I operate as well. And I think what you mentioned there is you love business, and business trumps MSP, right? For you,
Yeah.
And I think one thing that you can see from a lot of business owners, often there are specific characteristics, right, that demonstrates who an entrepreneur is and a successful entrepreneur. It's typically high risk tolerance. Usually someone that was selling sweets at their own school or at a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
And someone who's willing to build a team around them. And what you said there with strategy, you like the strategy, but you also like the detail. And you need to have a bit of both. Because when you're growing a business, you need to be able to go into a business and go, okay, well, it's just me now. I have to do everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to put your ego aside and go, okay, now we need to bring people in to help deliver and find someone in the middle so I can look at the strategy. So I think that it's really interesting. You also mentioned your wife as well, because my wife is exactly the same. She could easily start a business and run it, and she has done many a times before, side hustles and things like that, but very much the risk tolerance side of things is sometimes a little bit more on. Whereas me, on the other hand, I'm far more risk adverse. Go for it as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You really want to go down that direction. So I absolutely love hearing about the characteristics that drive you to where you've got to today. So let's talk a little bit about Apple consulting, because I'm sure if someone's out there listening and going, oh, well, I've got an Apple MacBook, or I've got this, or Apple's huge, right?
Yeah.
What exactly is Apple consulting and MSP consulting, moving on from that as well?
Yeah, so MSP consulting in general, look, it depends on who you ask. The way we look at it is we're outsourced IT for small to medium businesses, right? Companies that are 5 to 100 typically don't have the resources to have internal IT or have as well put together an internal IT team who has everything for you. So it's kind of like a mix between an out-of-the-box solution as well as continued help. So like we do a lot of help desk, right? Help me, I can't log into this thing. I don't know my password. You know, the toaster doesn't work, whatever. And then it goes all the way up to, like, in some clients that are larger, I'm kind of a fractional CTO, or someone on my team is a fractional CTO, helping drive bigger and better decisions. We have a lot of nonprofits that we work with. I'm constantly like helping them with their budget or figuring out the right way to like move technology. I've long said that nonprofits are the worst when it comes to understanding that because they always want to save money. Mm-hmm. And they always want to use like machines from like 2012. And like you're damaging your productivity by not upgrading, you know. So being the voice of reason for them has helped as well. And, you know, trying to at the same time holistically protect these businesses. Like the world sucks, dude. Like there's no sugarcoating this, right? But like if I can stop one of my clients from getting phished or buying another frickin' Google Play gift card, you know, more power to me and my team for doing that. So, you know, going back to what I was saying, like I like helping companies grow. Virtua Computers' goal is to help companies grow through technology, right? Providing the tools that allow them to be able to do the things they do. Like I'm not a lawyer, despite what my mom wants. But like, I'm going to let those lawyers law by making sure their technology works and not spend their time working on technology, right? So we fill in those things in. So we kind of run a very large gamut. As an Apple consultant, we focus on Apple products. We think they're formidable. We think they're better. That's just the Kool-Aid that we're drinking, to be honest. doesn't really matter. In my opinion, it does not matter Mac or PC because everyone's using the same cloud tools at this point. It's just a matter of, do you want to pay more for protection on the PC side of stuff? Because it's so much more targeted, right? That's why in the United States, there's something like 40,000 MSPs and there's only like 400 Apple consultants in the US, something like that. So there's these avenues that we take. So we're 98% Mac. We have a couple of PCs because there's always a bookkeeper who's going, well, Excel is different. Like, all right, fine, we get it, whatever. But it goes beyond that, right? It's not just the Mac. It's also like iOS, phones, iPads, watches, Apple TV. And so being able to take care of all of that for a company. We have some very large companies that we work with where we only do like 20 computers inside of a very, very large enterprise company because we're taking care of them, the marketing department, and like they're all Mac, right? So like we fit into there as well. So like we have a very large gamut between, designers and nonprofits, clothing line, a lot of marketing and marketing adjacent companies, but it's just everything. Like anything that has to do with technology. And we always say this to our customers. We're like, if you're not sure if we can do it or handle it, ask us and let us be the ones that say no. Like if you come to us and you're like, hey, the smart toaster isn't working. Like we'd rather you ask us and we say, we don't handle your smart toaster, but maybe it's not on the Wi-Fi, than you get mad at us later being like, you guys never helped us with the smart toaster. Like that's not our thing, but like, let us be the one to tell you that's not our thing. Don't make those assumptions. Just tell us everything you're having problems with, like from any technical standpoint. Even this, like you were saying earlier before we got on, you have people who join the Riverside. It takes forever for them to connect. Like we don't work at Riverside, but like let us help you get that done faster. That's all. Like any part of technology, as long as it's on a Mac.
I think I love that point. And it's like technology isn't for everyone, right? Like some people are just more tech savvy than others.
Sure.
And with larger organizations, you have people that are there for their expertise or whatever they're doing in that role. They're not there to figure out how this item works or it doesn't work or how to connect or not connect. And so having an expert there that can just alleviate that pressure off and burden off of an organization's shoulders is a natural advantage. Tell me how carving out the unique position as an Apple consultant, and you touched on it being there's 400 versus 40,000, right? What value has that brought to your business in terms of, is it true what they say, the riches are in the niches, or is it,
I would love to say the riches are in the niches, but again, I don't have that jet yet. And I know Apple consultants that do way better than I do, and I know Apple consultants that do way not better than I do. The thing with the niche, like I do believe that being an MSP in general is kind of a commodity at this point, because where MSP's expertise used to be in handling complex issues between computers and servers has kind of gone by the wayside with the fact that basically everything's in the cloud now, right? Most of my clients, I would say 95% of my clients are using a cloud-based server, Google Drive, Dropbox, Ignite, Box, whatever, doesn't matter. The problems that they're going to incur with that are not the same problems that they would have incurred with an on-premise server even 5 years ago, right? Maybe pre-COVID. So it's with so much stuff being in the cloud, the idea of being an MSP is just becoming a commodity. Take that to the next level where if you can niche into something, Apple being one particular niche. And what's funny is whenever I talk to people, people are like, oh my God, that's such a niche. And to my opinion, it's not, because I know all the Apple consultants. Right? I'm like, no, there's hundreds of us here. There's nothing differentiating me from my friend Tim or my friend Brian or whatever. But there is something to be said that like, it's a different platform. It's a different ecosystem. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different whatever, right? You can get even more niche. I have colleagues that only do retail shops or only work with doctors. There's one guy in the community and he got super popular and he only worked with lawyers, right? You never saw him at any of the Mac or Apple based conferences. He went to law conferences and he had a booth there or whatever it is. He was like the Mac guy for lawyers and he did really, really well for himself. Now he sells AI, so I don't know what he's up to, but then who's not selling AI? So yeah, like you could get more niche. I do think that PC MSPs need to really start focusing in on that. I know a lot of them have really kind of like, I think too many of them, to be honest, have led the pathway down either security compliance or artificial intelligence. I think that's not enough of a differentiator for them anymore, because security compliance and artificial intelligence is something that we all have to deal with in 2025, whether you're Mac, PC, or whatever. And if you're an MSP not dealing with those three things, you're automatically losing. So there are other avenues for which to niche in, whether that is designing your ideal client profile and like honing in on that, or honing in a particular, for lack of a better term, brand of service when it comes to security. There's people who specialize in types of compliance, whether that's NIST, CMMC, CIS, DIA, what's the DIA, DISA? I don't know what that one. It's one of those. I forget what it's called. FedRAMP, FinTech, HIPAA, whatever. You can niche in on that, but there's, at this point, the Apple thing in my opinion, isn't really a niche. Mac makes up 20% of the market share. iOS owns 90% of the market share. Like, we still make fun of people who use green bubbles. Like, I'm in a text thread with like a bunch of people, and the green bubble pops up, and we're like, we all hate you.
Yeah. Are you still in 2011? What's going on, right?
She's so adamant about. I don't remember. She's one of my best friends. She's so adamant about her Android because her whole family's on it. But I'm like, come on, you're really screwing us up here. But yeah, the Apple thing, the reason I did Apple was that I've always been an Apple person. My origin story, and again, you can hear this anywhere, but I'll do the fast version. When I was 5, my dad bought an Apple IIc. I grew up in a pretty wealthy-ish neighborhood on Long Island. When I went to school, we had Apple IIcs, and then my 5th grade, they had Apple Classics, and by the time I got to middle school, we had Apple LC2, Mac LC2s. I then bought my own Mac LC2, then I bought a Motorola Star Max when Apple did clones. Steve Jobs hated that. Went to college, did PCs, hated them. Wow. And then got out of college in 2002. Back then we were like, it's the worst economy ever, not knowing the future, obviously. And in 2004, I started working for a guy at an Apple consultancy. And at the time, I was like a web designer. Like, I was building simple websites. But I knew the Mac. I'd used it in college. I was interning where there was a Mac and, all these things. So, like, I've always been in the Apple ecosystem from the get-go. And so it just made sense. Like, I don't know if I could do it today, but like when I first started in 2004, had I known I was going to start my own business 4 years later, I could have done PC. I could have just fallen in play with the PC and followed the PC line. But like, I had a Mac. I liked Mac. I liked the feel and the interface of it. And so I just kind of stuck with it and found other people who liked it too. And here we are.
At the end of the day, you stay true to yourself and what you like to do. And I think that's one of the keys with business as well. Like, you could easily, and I think it plays back to whatever you're doing in business, you could either go the road where you don't enjoy and you're plowing through and you hate it. Business is hard enough as it, right? You may as well do it with something that you actually enjoy doing it. If you get a choice of where you're going to start and how you're going to do it, you may as well choose something where you go, okay, I actually enjoy playing around with these items or these things or whatever, like I
will say 17 years later, like, I hate computers. Like, there's so many other things that are, my wife and I and our friend with the Android, we were joking around the other day that like I would sell my company and like I make really good popovers, so I would like start a popover pop-up shop. Like, I just like, you get burned on it pretty easily, but like the challenges of owning a business, on top of keeping up to date with the latest and greatest. At the time that we're recording this, last week was Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. They announced all these new operating systems and all this stuff. And like being on top of the news, because I'm going to have clients that are like, hey, what's the story with liquid glass? And I have to be able to tell it to them. So like learning that stuff, or like I'm currently taking certification classes, because we need to stay up to date with those things. Like, I enjoy that stuff. Weirdly, I mean, I hated school. I don't know why I like certification classes, but yeah, it is a tough thing, and it's tough to stay motivated. So it's good to be in something that you, like you were saying, like I do like the Mac. Like when I'm not working, I am playing on my laptop or my phone or my iPad. Even if I'm just playing games or flipping through TikTok, like it's such a nicer interface and it makes my life easier. I'll tell you, the lady in the box doesn't work real well. I'll tell her to turn on my kitchen lights and like all of a sudden my office is on for whatever reason. But like, sometimes when I'm not being bothered by my kids, I like sitting down and being like, okay, where is it breaking in the automation and trying to figure it out. So yeah, you have to enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not doing yourself a service. You're just harming your own emotional well-being, I guess.
100%, couldn't agree with you more. I want to have a slight segue into a topic you were talking about not long ago, and it's a topic that starts with an A and ends in an I. Obviously, the topic that everyone wants to talk about, and if I'm speaking to someone that knows tech, knows technology, and knows the fact that most people want to talk about AI now and how it's going to change the world and everything like that. And I can see it from your face and the disdain in your face that it's not exactly the be-all and end-all that some people might think debunk it maybe. Talk to us about your opinion on AI and how it might change your...
The robots are coming to kill us. No. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I love ChatGPT. I use it all the time. I do. For your listeners, if you can't tell, I talk and write like a third grader. And so I need to put out a little more professionalism. So I do have ChatGPT rewrite my emails a lot. I also use ChatGPT to come up with stupid pictures. My son wanted to create a comic book, so we use it for that. Like, there's uses for it. My two beefs with AI, or my three beefs with AI, is one, I'm stealing this from my friend Adam Angst, from the guy who writes Tidbits. AI is a C+ student. It really is, right? It's a C+ student, which is great because I was a D student. So like, I'm already doing better. It's not going to be the end all be all. I mean, there's horror stories that come out of ChatGPT, right? Like 2 years ago, there's that story about the doctor who put in somebody's symptoms, right? Put in like these crazy symptoms, and ChatGPT figured it out. And the doctor was like, awesome, I can't believe we figured out what's wrong with this patient. I need sources, because that's how things work in the medical community. And ChatGPT said, F you, I'm going to make up all these names. And that's what it did, right? Like, because it's generative. So yeah, C+ student at best. One of my other beefs with AI is I don't like the fact that every company in the world is shoving it down our throats as some sort of magic bullet. I do often say, like, this is when companies in the IT industry marketed now with dark mode. Like, that's wonderful, but that's not like, it's not the new cronut. Like, enough, we get it. And so every company that says like, oh, we're using AI intelligence, like, the problem is that AI is, as we know it, right? Because you have generative, agentic, and then automative. Even generative, but like agentic and automotive, not automated ones, they're just a new name for automations. And they're just making it a little bit easier to do automations by being able to write in normal human language and not have to pick and choose Boolean operators to figure out, which I'm looking for a filter that searches for this, but not this, but with this color on that block on this. You could just type in, like, I'm looking for this email from Saeed with, when he talked to me about wearing his red shirt, let it figure it out. Like, that's cool. But people think AI in real life, I don't know how old you are. Like, I'm an 80s kid. We think AI is the Autobots or Data from Star Trek or Terminator, right? Like, things that can think on their own. Never once has ChatGPT, when I've given it a prompt, been like, I see what you're saying and I look what you're doing. Like, have you thought of doing these other things? Yeah. Like, it just will give me back my answer unless I say, give me other options. Right? It never wants to like take that step. So that's why I have a problem with calling it AI. And I think it's modern day automation. And the other thing is, and don't hold me to this one because I remember the pieces of the story, but I don't remember where it came from. I know that Apple put out this thing, and basically it was like Apple ran some test against AI and purposely was making mistakes in it to see if the AI would fix the mistakes. And it didn't. At some point, the AI kind of just gave up and was like spitting out the same answer for the question, even though the question was being changed with slight mistakes. It means that AI is not smart enough to recognize that, and we've hit some sort of like threshold of like its capabilities. So if we're hitting that threshold of its capabilities, stop adding it into everything, right? I don't need, again, let's talk about my smart toaster, which, by the way, if you want to send me one, but like, I don't need a smart toaster with AI. I need a toaster that can make toast. Make me the best toast you can make. AI is not going to help. And that's where like, it's just being blasted in everyone's faces, especially in the IT industry. Like, I can't get away with getting into like my marketplace tools without them being like, new product, AI driven. Like, everything is AI driven.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. You look on LinkedIn, and I've never seen so many AI consultants or AI experts that have people who had been running business for 20 years in a completely different sector. Now AI experts. It's been out for 3-4 years. So like, well.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like, I truly believe, one of my team members said this, we truly believe that like the way AI is being spoken about now is very similar to how NFTs were spoken about. Oh, what was that, a year ago at this point? And it's already dead, right? Yeah. Like, somebody paid $15 million for a JPEG of a monkey. Yeah. Again, don't quote me. I look forward to your tweets and emails. Like, that dude burned, you're gonna give him $15 million to the homeless. He just burned it on his driveway for a picture of a monkey. Like, come on, man. So like, I kind of feel like we're in that same boat, and I think it's just being perpetuated by the bigger tech companies. The fact that Google and Microsoft have just raised their prices for their email products again within a short amount of time because now it comes with Gemini or Copilot. Nobody asked for this, guys. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want, and it's going to get worse. Like, I don't want AI chatbots. I don't, to answer my, like, I have a problem. I need a human who can think. I don't want AI on my airplane. I don't want AI in my toaster. I don't want AI in my notebooks. I want to just do what I do. And I sound like an old man yelling at the cloud right now, but like, enough is enough.
No, I completely agree. And I think that the strategic advantage that comes with all these organizations and all these industries that are overcorrecting on AI, right, is that the fact that there's organizations out there that aren't necessarily putting it all be all and end all, and that will give you the competitive. People like to speak to other, you just said it yourself, people like to speak to other humans at the end of the day. Like, the amount of times I've been on the phone, I'm trying to get an issue solved, and all I'm getting is automations or this and that. I'm just like, get me to a person so I can get my problem solved, because you're not going to do it.
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you want to see?
Exactly.
That I always go to. Yeah,
exactly. So I think I couldn't agree more with the sentiment. And without a doubt, AI is it really AI? It's a large language model that, as you said, is just another way of creating automations, right?
Don't get me wrong. You can see from my background, I'm a big Iron Man fan. I love Iron Man. I love the movies. If you're going to build Jarvis, don't cop out on it. Do it or don't. Like, stop giving me half pieces. It's annoying. Even Apple, they got burned by this pretty bad. Last year at Dub was what we call WWDC. They announced Apple Intelligence, and they put out ads where I think it was like it was some famous actress. I forget. She was in the show like The Last of Us or something. I don't know.
Okay.
She picks up her phone. She asks Lady in the Box, go through my email and remind me what time my flight is or something to this effect. And Lady in the Box finds it and shows it to her. Well, that feature never came to fruition. Wow. Right? It's not out. And don't get me wrong, Apple's still really big on Apple Intelligence, and I use some of their tools. But again, proofreading, make it more casual, more formal, copying and pasting data and manipulating it. Not really AI, but that's what's out there. And it got really bad to the point where John Gruber, who's a big Apple enthusiast, he writes Daring Fireball, wrote a scathing article about Apple Intelligence. And the state of California is suing Apple in a civil lawsuit for false claims around their advertising because of this. Wow. So we thought that this year at WWDC, they were going to course correct, and they just didn't. They just let it be because of the same things. They're hitting this threshold. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. And again, I think they've realized that they jumped in it when Google and Microsoft were on it to just get on that hypey bandwagon. And that is not something that companies need. The fact that businesses have been around for tens of thousands of years, and AI has been around for tens of thousands of minutes. The people who are like, AI is coming for your job. I'm like, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I think it's really interesting that you mentioned those points. But I want to jump into the next segment of the podcast. And this is the segment we like to call the Entrepreneur's Room. And that's a series of questions we like to ask all of our guests to give our viewers and listeners an opportunity to understand how business owners think and operate in their...
No. Don't get in my brain, dude.
So the first question I like to ask at this stage of the podcast is, how are you currently spending your days as a leader of the business?
Crying? No, that's the second time I made the joke. I know. What am I doing these days? So I read this really awesome book a couple weeks ago called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. It's an amazing book. I think everyone should read it if you're in the service industry. And it's a story about Will Guidara. He was the owner of 11 Madison Park, this 3 Michelin star restaurant in New York City. And as someone who doesn't normally read books, I'm not a big book reader. I'm not very good at reading, if you couldn't tell. The fact that I read this book in less than a week, to me, that says something. And so I'm actually having all of my staff read it also. We have 2 mandatory books at Virtua, the Phoenix Project, which is about DevOps, and now this book. So this year we've taken on the moniker of growth without expansion. So just a little quick backstory. Over the COVID years, we acquired 3 companies to expand our services and our offerings and stuff like that. And so this year, we're really honing in on how do we grow the company without necessarily buying another company or doing a big M&A kind of thing, or even selling or whatever. And so it comes down to building efficiencies internally, mostly, making sure that our P&Ls are up to date, clean. We're looking at those numbers. We're watching where that spending is going. We're making sure we're not losing money. Even small cash, little things. We found the other day that a client was buying a Microsoft license for us, and we accidentally were charging them $2 less than cost So like it was a $4 difference at the end of the day. Like $4 doesn't really make a big difference, right? We're talking about $50 over the course of the week, over the year. But like if you find one, you're going to find many, right? So like those things, we got a business valuation done. I want to say it was like the middle of 2024. And then we just had another one done a couple of weeks ago, and we've doubled our business valuation in a very short amount of time because of doing things like this. We had to let somebody go. We found clients that weren't paying. We had to clean that up, or we found clients that something went wrong with their invoice or whatever, like all of these little things. So efficiency, building out efficiencies, watching our P&L, and now going to the hospitality thing, building out a much better customer experience. And so if you want to look at it from like an EOS model, my job as the visionary is to design what I want the end goal to be. And then I have people on my team, like my directors and our manager, Fred, to build out these things and make these both minuscule and grandiose changes to the company to kind of push us forward, right? We're at a particular threshold for our top line revenue, and I want us to like gain, I think like 10% without necessarily adding any more customers, which is a very tough thing to do also. Not that I'm saying no to new customers, but I'm just saying like there are things that we're still not doing for our current customers that we need to be doing, whether that's selling them email security or dark web or whatever tool, whatever the hot tool is, not AI, to them to build out, to make their businesses better. So I'm looking at, again, like I said in the beginning, right, top and the micro. Where can we go from both sides? Another piece that I've been really working on internally for myself is how do I make my team better? And so I'm designing like these notepads that have like what the day is, what do I need to work on, what's my goal for the week, who should I catch up with, so I can get my team to feel more comfortable talking to our customers. And then we have this office down in Columbia, Missouri, which is our repair shop, and it's due for a refresh, like a complete refresh. I'm a big F1 fan. I love the fact that like, you know, teams stick their logo literally on everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, we should do that there, and we'll just, you know, build, like, we just bought here's a piece of customer experience, right? Like customers come in our door and they're pissed off because something doesn't work with their computer or their phone or whatever it is. We just had our director of operations who runs the shop also. Like when people come in the door, do we offer them like water or coffee? And he's like, no. And I was like, cool. Here's a $200 glass door refrigerator on Walmart. Buy it. Fill it with don't buy the crappy water bottles that like break easily when you squeeze. Like get relatively nice water bottles until we can get branded ones. And when customers come in, offer them a water before they even start anything. You know, it's like these little pieces of things. And he's like, oh my God, I love this idea. And the funny thing is that I didn't even get that idea from the book. I was watching The Studio on Apple TV, that one about the LA studio that Seth Rogen's in.
Yeah.
And his best friend Sal Saperstein sees somebody. He's like, did someone around here offer you water? Get this guy a water. And I was like, we don't even offer water at our shop. We should 100% offer water at our shop. So yeah, building out that whole thing is what, like, that's my day-to-day now. It gets interrupted with, hey, I need help with a ticket, or hey, a client needs something, or I need to study for this stupid exam. But like my day-to-day is being the visionary and coming up with these bigger plans, and then doing interviews and podcasts and trying to make myself famous.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's really interesting you said that, because it's that quote from Michael Gerber, working on the business rather than in the business.
Yep.
And
yeah.
It sounds like exactly what you're doing right now is looking at strategy and working on how do we make the business the best possible business for our customers and for myself as well, right? What actually relates to your vision. Also, a point on that, the water as well. I thought the same thing. I'll give you an example from my own life. I used to go to a certain barber shop, and then I followed my barber from the shop that he was at to a different barber shop. I went to that barber shop. First time I sat in there, the first thing they offer was, do you want a cold beverage? Do you want a Coke? Do you want a beer? Do you want a water? And that alone, I was just like, awesome. I'm sitting here waiting 20, 30, 40 minutes for a haircut. That alone is just like, okay, great. This is a much more pleasant experience. It makes you likely to return. So yeah, couldn't agree more with what you said there. In terms of then, as a leader of the business, obviously there are specific metrics that are important to every single business owner, depending on how you look at it. What are the most important metrics for you when running the business?
You know, there's a lot to be said about like time versus money, especially in our industry where we do kind of like an all you can eat plan, which customers are taking up more time than others. I don't really need the metrics per se out of our tools, because like it's very easy for me to figure out who's annoying and who's not annoying on a regular basis. I can just, because I just know all of our clients. For me, like a big metric for me is my team growing and learning. right? So we have a team member who unfortunately had some health issues and he got stuck. He had to be home for a long time. So we were like, cool, since you can't be in the shop turning screws on hardware, let's have you start learning tier 1 support and helping customers that email our consultative side. And it's been a while since he's back at work now and things are fine. He's healthy, everything's good. But like, my metric for how good he was doing was how many fewer questions he's asking me on a regular basis.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. And it went from, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this to, hey, this one's weird. And then I show him how I figured it out. And he's like, how would you know that? It's like, because I've been doing this for 17 years. You've been doing it for a year. But now don't ask me again about this question. So that metric is really important to me. The valuation metric, I think, was a big one for me. I didn't know that it was as big of a one for me as I thought it was. Getting the fact that our valuation was basically twice what it was 9 months earlier. Really, like, yeah, like that did a lot for me. And then, like I said, like the professional development of my team. If my team is growing and moving forward, then we're doing something right, because that means they're not stuck in a rut, and and that also means, if you like extrapolate this out, we're not getting the same garbage from customers all the time as well, right? There are things, granted, in our industry, everyone needs a password reset. My team doesn't have to ask me to do it, but now we're building a button that will automatically reset somebody's password. So this way they can get onto the next harder ticket or whatever it is. So I think those right now are the big ones for me. And then, of course, I always look at my year-over-year growth and some projections. You have to, but they always say, like, you make the most important decisions around data. I've been doing it for 17 years and my gut has been pretty good. I mean, I've had a couple losses, sure. But like, if I look at my year-over-year growth from the day I started to today, like, of 17 years, only 2 were negative growth years. All the rest were at minimum 9% or more. Like, I don't need to really dive deep into that data. I'm sounding like an egotistical asshole a little bit, but like, I don't need to dive deep into the data. I can recognize it pretty well. And if a client is being, taking up a lot of our team's time, I can do something about that, right? So that's why I kind of spend my day, going back to the first question, I spend my days like looking for the efficiencies or what else can we sell on a customer to increase those other numbers and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's interesting to hear, because we often hear different answers asking that question. You can often hear the way someone runs their business based off of how they look at their metrics, and especially the growth of your team is being an important part. It shows that culture is quite an important aspect to your organization and growth. So I think it says a lot about the business owner, I think. How are you currently, and I know you touched on it previously, with COVID, you grew through acquisition, and currently you're refining everything internally, but how are you currently growing your business? What kind of business development, marketing, sales activities are you currently doing to grow the business?
You're going to hate my answer, but the answer is going to be none. And I'll tell you why. Number one, nobody needs IT support unless they need IT support. And sure, there's something to be said about doing marketing and being on LinkedIn, and you got to do the 10 touch points and all that other stuff. But as a member of the Apple Consultants Network, we have the most amazing resource in the world, Apple. And so if you have a business and you walk into an Apple store, you call Apple and you talk to adding the business teams, they'll send you to this website, consultants.apple.com, and you type in your zip code and you look for someone in your neighborhood. And so we're listed for New York, New Jersey, areas within of like New York City, where I live in New Jersey, Columbia, Missouri, Des Moines, Iowa, Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, Denver, Colorado. And we have 106 5-star reviews and 1-1-star review, which I will 100% own. I know exactly why. And it was fair. It was a fair review. It was a fair review. It was a bad match. Shouldn't happen. That alone has been our number one way of getting new customers in the door. People, whenever I ask people, how'd you find us? It's always the Consultants Locator. And I'm not saying that companies shouldn't do marketing, but number one, PC MSPs and Mac MSPs very much different when it comes to marketing. All the PC MSPs, and I'm friends with people that are in the marketing industry. I'm not going to try to crap on all of them, but the majority of them are selling snake oil, and a lot of them are fear mongering. Like, there's always that, like, your information's on the dark web, we'll save your data. Like, people just want to like smoke weed and draw pictures. They don't care about the dark web, right? So it's a different mentality when it comes to that. So that's part of it. And the other thing is finding them. Like, you can make an assumption that they're all designers or whatever it is, but like, if I really wanted to spend the money, which I don't, I could do targeted LinkedIn ads and find, are you a designer who's got a Mac? Does your Mac suck? Call Justin and the team at Virtua. Like, that's not going to work. It just doesn't. And I know that it doesn't work because I've seen my friends pay thousands and tens of thousands of dollars for it. And guess what? Doesn't work. So it's hard to say that we're doing any like direct marketing in those. That's not to say that it doesn't work for other industries, right? There's plenty of people. I mean, this is going back to like shticky marketing, shticky work, right? Like the people who put, why do you think there's A1 plumbing in every town? Because they wanted to be first in the yellow pages, right? Like it's that kind of stuff. I think our work speaks for itself. You know, I actually just went to an event last week and I was talking to a friend of mine who was there, and he runs a much, much larger ACN than I do. You should be talking to him, not me. And he was talking to me about how he's hiring a sales manager. And I was like, oh, you got sales coming? Like, what are you doing for your sales process? Like, how are you getting your leads? And he's like, we don't do lead gen. And I was like, we need a sales manager for it. He's like, all of our stuff comes from referrals. Now, his business has been around longer. His business is much bigger than mine. So what happens is when somebody leaves an organization and goes work somewhere else, they go, oh, we should call so-and-so. That's the best way to do it. And that's what happens in the IT industry, because like, if your stuff is working, there's that argument, right? Like, what are we paying for you? Everything's broken. And what are we paying you for? Everything's fine. But if everything is fine, they're not going to change. They don't want to risk that. They're not going to change to another MSP. So like, it's a much harder sales. It's a much harder service. And so like marketing to those people, like when everything's fine, they don't need you. They only need you when the guy is retiring or something terribly, terribly went wrong and like you're so pissed off. The people who have come to us in those scenarios are already coming so jaded. We don't even want those customers, to be honest. And so, yeah, I told you it was gonna be a bad answer in the beginning, but like, it's kind of what it is. We have the consultants locator, and I put a lot of effort into that. I have a lot of other Apple consultants who come to me. They're like, how do I get more customers? And I go look at their consultant locator and like they have no reviews and they have some diatribe in their bio with like, I've been doing this for so long and blah. I'm like, here's what you need. You need reviews and put your phone number in the first line because Apple only gives us like a paragraph to write. Like if you go to the virtual one, it says, stop reading, call us now. Like it's basically what it says. And then there's stuff about us.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we're taking advantage of stuff that we use that we know is positively directing in our company.
The highest level, yeah, it sounds like you're taking the highest leverage approach to what you know is absolutely working for you. It makes sense with the Apple locator as well. Like, why not use the traffic that Apple already generates?
Yeah, exactly.
Divert it to you as long as you can rank very highly there. And sounds like with those reviews, 100%. Justin, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I think this has been one of my favorite conversations. It's been great. I like to end every single podcast with the same question. And that is, if you had a magic wand you could wave to solve one business problem, what would that be?
Marketing? Lead gen for Max? Yeah. I don't really know, to be honest, because like, not that I don't have problems, we all have problems, right? But I don't think I don't think a magic wand would necessarily fix the problems long term. It's really easy to say that a magic wand can fix something today. Like, yeah, I wish we had more money in the bank so we can pay our team millions of dollars, in salary and all these things. But like, how long can that possibly last, right? So I don't think, I reject your reality and I stick in my own.
Absolutely fine. I think that you're the first person to do that. It goes with the cadence of the podcast. It's been a brilliant conversation, Justin. Thank you so much for sharing your time. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. For anyone out there that wants to reach out to you, speak to you, how did they reach out? How do they find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Justin Esgar. VirtuaConsulting.com is the lead point to all of our other companies, Virtua Computers, Aces, My Mac Mentor, Gravity Repair Shop. My entire bio is there. You can find us there. So VirtuaConsulting.com or just LinkedIn. I think if you just go to JustinEsgar.com, it should auto point you to my LinkedIn. I should double check to see if that works.
No worries. Yeah. Perfect. We'll put everything in the description of the podcast anyway, so everyone can find that. But Justin, as mentioned already, thank you very much for sharing your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right then.